Oh my, like literally this is my funniest moment as a cast member. So I'm gonna take a wild guess and say you all are here to hear about my stories and my time as a cast member at Walt Disney World. Well, let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and for those of you who do not know me, my name is Cam and this is Cam's Travels. Now, for today's video, it's going to be all about me explaining my time as a cast member at Walt Disney World. And for those of you who do not know, I did 2 college programs, one in 2019 and unfortunately one in 2020 that got cut short. And if you all want to see, here's my name tag from my Disney college program. And I did go to Florida Atlantic University. So as I explain my time as a cast member, I will be going over where I worked, what I did, what it's like to be a cast member overall, some funny stories, and some bad stories, but not necessarily bad about the company. It's going to be, bad guest interactions, ones where, things just didn't go right. But I will not speak bad about the company because I want to say I loved every second of working for the Walt Disney World Company. And if it wasn't for COVID, I would most likely still be there right now. Well, first question, where did I work here at Walt Disney World? My first college program in 2019, I worked at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge as a lifeguard. I worked at both Jambo House and Kidani Village. Literally amazing. I had the most fun. I had the most fun coworkers, and if you all are watching, I miss you all so much. And for my second role at Walt Disney World during my second college program, I was a bell service dispatcher at the Contemporary Resort, which both of these roles were on complete different spectrums of job categories. One was I was by a pool all day in the sun, and one I was inside helping guests with luggage, basically telling bellmen what to do, not in a mean way, more of like, hey, this guest needs their bags taken down from room 300. And then also assisting guests with their vacation, anything they needed, any tips, any tricks, and that sorts of stuff, or my suggestions on what's the best park, what's the best ride, what's the best restaurants, any and everything a guest could ask. They would most likely ask me because I was one of the first people they saw when I entered the resort. Now, if you ask me which role would I choose over the other, I don't know. To be honest, it's kind of a toss-up, but if I had to choose, it would be bell services because I was inside the whole time in AC. So I didn't get hot. AC was nice, always inside, except for a little bit of time where I was actually outside delivering luggage and that sorts of stuff. But overall, I would go back to both of those roles, especially with my former coworkers. I would go back to those roles like immediately. I miss every single one of you. But let's dive in on how I got these roles and how I got into the Disney College program. So back in 2018. Fall of 2018, I applied to the Disney College program on a whim. I had a couple friends do the Disney College program and they told me nothing but great things. So I said, hey, you know what? Let me apply. Like, I might not get it, whatever it is, I'll just keep going to school. So the process is, applications drop on a certain day. 99.999% of people are gonna apply on the first day. Once you submit your application is reviewed. And then once it is reviewed and pushed to the next step, you get a web-based interview. And if you pass the web-based interview, which the web-based interview, a WBI, is basically a test to get to know what kind of worker you are. Are you a hard worker? Are you lazy? Do you show up late? Do you show up early? Do you call out a lot? Just that sorts of stuff, and kind of how you hold yourself up and how you're going to represent the company. They want to know who they're hiring, who they're interviewing, all that sort of stuff before they even get you on to the next step. And by that next step, I mean the phone interview. So not everyone does pass the WBI and moves on to a phone interview. And like I said, the next step would be the phone interview. Now, they do send you an email after your WBI if you do pass, giving you time slots and different days where you can schedule a phone interview. That way you can give yourself some time to prepare. So for me, what I did to prepare was literally binge watch different YouTube videos on Disney College Program interviews, took down notes, and literally when the day came, it was such a breeze. So I definitely recommend watching a bunch of people's YouTube videos on the Disney College Program interviews because it does help out a lot. Basically, the interview is they just kind of get to know you. They ask you the roles that you put in your application. You know, you put, I believe it was 5 different roles that you put in your application. They talk to you about those, what you feel comfortable in, what kind of worker are you, and as well as get to know you on a personal level. And I highly recommend that you connect with your interviewer, because if you don't connect them in any sort of way, they're interviewing so many people left and right, like they might not remember you. I mean, they're gonna have your name on a piece of paper, but they might not remember you in a sense. Where like I connected with my interviewer really, really well for my second Disney College Program. She was like talking about Epcot, and she was like, what's your favorite country in Epcot? And I was like, oh, I love Germany because I used to live in Germany when I was younger. And she was like, oh my god, I love Germany. So we bonded right there and talked about the different places we had been in Germany. So that was really awesome to see and really cool to connect with someone on that level. But that is basically it right now. If you all want me to do a full video on the DCP, let me know down below in the comments, because I have a bunch of questions from you all asking different questions about what it's like to be a cast member. So let's move on to that. So I do say this in all of my Q&A videos. If you all do want to be in my next one, make sure to follow me on Instagram. It is going to be right here and linked down below as well. What was my favorite part about being a cast member? Well, besides getting in the parks for free, because, you know, that's just an added bonus. I think my favorite part was just making people's vacations. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times, like, I did something, like, slight, like, next to nothing, and it made a family go ballistic, made their day, made their whole vacation. It just brought, like, you know, like, joy to my face, put a smile on my face to see that, you know, I can do that. Like, I could impact someone's vacation that much. I think that was literally my favorite thing, other than, like I said, getting the parks for free, living with my friends, getting to the parks all the time, like literally all the time. When I wasn't at work, like I was at a theme park. That was literally the most special thing, I think truly made my experience working as a Disney cast member. And I know a bunch of you have asked what different things I had done for guests to make their experience better or their vacation better. I know at Animal Kingdom Lodge, it was really easy to do stuff like that. Like we could make guests like honorary lifeguards. So we would give them like, you know, a piece of paper that says, hey, you know, Billy's an honorary lifeguard. We give them like a little lifeguard, like little buoy, like keychain. And they would get a picture with one of us. If we noticed it was a guest's birthday, we would go to the quick service place and get them zebra domes. If you all don't know what that is, get in your car right now or get in a plane, however, and get to Animal Kingdom Lodge and try those. Literally some of the best things ever. We would get them a cupcake, cake, whatever, you know, the quick service restaurant had, we would get that for them, bring it out to the pool, you know, wish them a happy birthday. We could only do so much as lifeguards because, you know, we couldn't get off stand or do other things like that. And obviously we couldn't just take them onto a ride because we were at a resort. So we were kind of constricted in a way. Now we could do certain things if we really wanted to, but when I worked at Contemporary, I was able to do a lot more because I was inside and, you know, had a computer. So, you know, if we did something on our end that, you know, didn't make the experience right for the guest, and they had a reservation, we made them late for their reservation for some reason. I know a couple times I gave, you know, $50 voucher, basically a $50 gift card to California Grill, you know, that would pay for a couple of drinks for them while they waited for their table. I know we had things where we, you know, could give fast passes out to guests. We did what was right and we helped the guests, so we did things just like that, and it literally lit up people's faces, and literally made the whole experience, and it was literally the best thing about working at Disney, was just making magic for people. That was definitely, I know I rambled on, but that was definitely my favorite memory. So a typical shift rundown as a cast member. So for me, the beginning of my college program at Animal Kingdom Lodge, we had one shift. We opened at 9 a.m. and we closed at, I believe it was 8, if I can remember correctly. So we worked that shift. We had rotation. So we were on our stand and we'd go off on break. We would rotate around the stands, went on break, rotate around the stands, went on break, blah, blah, blah. It went on. And then about halfway through my program, we moved to split shifts, so we either had a morning shift or we would come in later in the day and then work at night. And then for contemporary, I had a bunch of different shifts. I had, morning shift, which was 7 to 3. I had a closing shift, which could have been, 3 to 11. I had a transfer shift, which if you all don't know what transfers are, which probably most of you don't know what transfers are, it is when a guest was staying contemporary during their vacation, but during their vacation they had a split stay. So they would go either from contemporary to poly, contemporary to art of animation. So I would bring their luggage to whichever resort they were going to next, as long as it was on Disney property. So that transfer shift would start at 10, I believe, and would go to 6. So honestly, it really depends on your role, what your shifts can be. But if you are a CP, expect to close. What was the best thing about housing? The best thing about housing to me was literally you lived with all your friends. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's basically like college, you live with all your friends. But literally, like, I come home from work and I shower, I get ready, I have 5 people I call. Hey, you wanna go to Animal Kingdom? Hey, you wanna go to Hollywood Studios? Hey, you wanna go to Universal Studios? Like, there's so many people, and that's why I say go out and meet people, because not necessarily are your roommates gonna have the same shifts as you, the same off days as you, and that sort of stuff. Because at the beginning of the Disney College program, you all typically have, the same schedule here and there. But once, you start to actually get to working, your schedules are gonna mix up. Some days, Walker would work 6 a.m. in the morning, and I wouldn't work till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So he comes home from his shift as I'm going to mine. So we had off days. We hung out late at night. But that's why I always say make friends, because you cross the building next door to you, or your neighbors upstairs, your neighbors downstairs, your neighbors across the hall. Like, meet all of them, because some of those could be your very, very best friends. And speaking of roommates, how did I meet my roommates? We all met through the Disney College program Facebook page. We all met through there. I think Walker was the one who posted something, or he messaged me and he's like, hey, looking for some roommates. I need 3 other guys. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, dude, totally. That was it. We're guys. It's easy. You looking for a roommate? Yeah. Okay, cool. We're roommates. Boom. The most surprising / unexpected thing about being a cast member, I think it's all the things you can do to make magic for a guest. Like when I mean all the things you can do. Like, if something messes up, we can give out theme park tickets if we really wanted to. If something went extremely wrong, or we felt bad, or something that we can literally just be like, I mean, not now because of COVID, but like, oh, here's a theme park ticket. Boom. Like, oh, here's a water park ticket. Boom. Popcorn bucket. Your popcorn bucket dropped and broke. Here's a popcorn bucket. Oh, it's your birthday. Here's a Mickey bar. Like, there's so many things you can do as a cast member to make guest stays. Like, that was the most surprising thing to me, because like, I know, like, from a business standpoint, like, companies can make up for things if something goes wrong, but like Disney just like normal companies are here, and Disney's like up here. Like, no one matches Disney with how they treat guests, what they do for their guests. So that was definitely the most surprising thing. I knew they did it before, but like, when you're actually on the inside and see what you can actually do, it's insane. Difficulty to get into the Disney College program. It's difficult. I will not lie on that one. It is very difficult to get into. Now, I have heard that it's easier to get into if you are a guy, because less guys apply to the Disney College program. That's what I've heard. Don't know if it's true or not, so don't quote me on that. But it's extremely hard. I think they have thousands upon tens of thousands of people who apply. And I don't know how many people get in, so I'm just going to give a rough estimate. Maybe 4,000 people get in, and tens and thousands of people apply. So I was very fortunate to be one of those people who got to do the Disney College program, especially twice. But yeah, it's hard. I will not lie. It's hard to get in. So you ready for some guest stories? Some funny ones? Okay, so I was working at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I'm going to get through this fast. It's a long story. I'm going to get through this fast. Working at Animal Kingdom Lodge as a lifeguard. And you are going to think this is fake. I promise you it's not. A guest comes up to me while I'm on stand and asks me, how do I get to Animal Kingdom Lodge? As we're at the pool at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I know. And I just kind of, like, This is a joke? What do you mean? And she goes, no, how do I get to Animal Kingdom Lodge? And for those of you who know Animal Kingdom Lodge, like, well, it's separated into two parts, Kidani and Jambo. I said, well, ma'am, you know, we're at Animal Kingdom Lodge, we're at Jambo House. She goes, I know we're at Jambo House, but how do you get to Animal Kingdom Lodge? And I'm just, like, I'm dumbfounded. Like, I have no idea how to answer this question. I keep telling her we're at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and she's just not getting it. Eventually she goes, and I kid you not, at this point she goes, no, there's 3 parts to this resort, Jambo, Kidani, and Animal Kingdom Lodge. So how do I get to the Animal Kingdom Lodge building? And luckily at this point I was getting taken off stand for rotation, so I grabbed the map at the back of the stand, and you know, me being sarcastic, I showed her the map. I was like, ma'am, this is Jambo, and this is Kidani, and all of this makes Animal Kingdom Lodge. And she was like, oh my god, I am so dumb. And it took everything inside of me to not agree with her, but you know, I had to be nice. So I was like, oh no, you know, it's okay, blah, 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 have a good day. End of the story. That was one of my top craziest guest experiences, was when I was at Bay Lake Tower. And for those of you who do not know where Bay Lake Tower is the DVC building that connects to the Contemporary. I was in the main lobby and a guest asked me, where is the Magic Kingdom? And if you know the Contemporary, the Magic Kingdom is right next to it. And I had a ton of guest stories about, you know, people yelling at me, cussing me out, about many things, especially the Contemporary. You know, the Magical Express, or, you know, a guy didn't want to bring, one time, he ran out of a crib from a company, and it was a third-party company, so we couldn't handle it. So when he checked out, he had to bring it back down, and when we told him he had to bring it back down himself, things got ugly, I'll tell you that. And he caused a whole scene. Yeah, and it was a very drama-filled day at the Contemporary Resort. What is one, I like this one a lot. What is one misconception about being a cast member? I think that people think it's just easy. Like, oh, you're at Disney World, like, life is easy, you get to go to the theme park, you get free access to the theme park. Yes, it is. That's the luxury part of it, or luxury part of it. But I'm not gonna lie, it's hard work. Like, you deal with some ungrateful people. But, you know, the grateful people and the amazing guests that come along the way do make up for those ungrateful people. Those ungrateful people make work rough. I'll tell you that. Now, for me, like, I laugh it off. Like, I don't take it to heart, because I know 9 times out of 10, they're not mad at me. They're mad at a situation, and they want to take it out on someone, and they pick at me because I'm behind a desk. I have a name tag. They do that. I don't take it personal. And at that moment, I'm kind of frustrated, because I'm like, really, you're gonna yell at me? But in the end, I laugh it off. I have a great story to tell for years. But yeah, work is rough as a cast member. I will not lie. There's long hours. You work many days. There were many times I worked 6 days a week, had 1 day off. It was rough. But I think that is a misconception, that life's all easy when you work at Disney. You work at Disney World, oh, it's all princess and fairies and magic and pixie dust. No, it's tough work. I will not lie. It's tough. Worst thing about being a cast member. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, I'll never talk bad about Disney. Literally had the most amazing time ever. But worst thing I think would be either working like 6 days a week or the long hours. That's literally the only thing I can say. Oh, and you know, dealing with the ungrateful guests. Like I said earlier, don't take it personal. I make it funny. I have stories to tell for years to come. But yeah, it's definitely one of the worst things. Is long shifts, long work weeks, ungrateful guests. So I'm gonna answer this question right here, kind of, you know, different things as a cast member. One of the coolest things I did as a cast member, or one of the coolest people I met, was actually the voice of Ariel, Jodie Benson. If you all don't know who that is, I was working one night at the Contemporary. A VIP tour guide came up and he was like, hey, I need a couple first-time visit buttons. And I was like, yeah. So I turned around to go to the little closet behind me to grab them, and by the time I turned around, she was there. She was standing right there, and I was like, oh, wow, that's Jodie Benson. That's literally the voice of Ariel. and she's super, like, literally the nicest person I have ever met. We talked for like, 5 minutes, and so I asked her, like, I was bringing her the buttons, and she seemed nice, so I knew I could play some jokes with her, and I was like, I know these first visit buttons aren't for you. And she started to chuckle, and she was like, oh no, they're for my nieces. I believe it was her nieces, and she was like, we play jokes on each other all the time, and we started laughing, and she was like, so, like, are you from here, you live here? And I was like, well, I'm doing this college program, blah, blah, blah. We talked. Literally one of the coolest things ever. Like, you would have thought she was just a regular person. Like, super, super cool. One of my favorite memories from working at the Contemporary. Oh, I can't believe I forgot this one. Oh my, like, literally, this is my funniest moment as a cast member. Like, I'm so glad I remember this, because I literally would have tortured myself if I posted this video without having this. Here's a picture. I'm just gonna keep this up here while I explain. Y'all are gonna love this. Like, this is gonna make y'all, if you've made it this far, this is literally gonna make y'all's day. So, for those of you who do not know, actually, none of y'all know this. There's probably 5 people watching this video that know this. It's probably more, maybe like 10. But my tooth right here, my front tooth, half of it is actually cracked, like diagonal, like pink cut off. So back in 2010, I was playing football outside, and if you all know, in neighborhoods where they have those big green electrical boxes, I was catching a football, face first, boom, smacked my face, cracked my tooth. Didn't even know about it at first. Walked inside. My sister pointed out to me, she said, what's wrong with your tooth? My mom came over and saw it, and then once I saw it, tears. Screaming. It hurt, I guess, at that moment. It didn't hurt earlier. So yeah, fast forward to 2019. So actually, go back. Back in 2010, I had, a half fake tooth made, so it's, in there. It's glued now. I don't really know how that works. But now, fast forward to 2019, I'm on stand, and I am fiddling with my whistle. Just teething it, blah, blah, blah. I wish I had my whistle, because there's those, like, teeth marks, so I was chewing it all day long. So I'm doing it, all of a sudden I hear, like, and I'm like, that's weird. So, like, take it out, and I start feeling my tooth and my tongue, and I'm like, no way. Like, there's no way this just happened. And, like, I, like, casually, like, spit, and I have half my tooth in my finger, or in my hand. And I'm like, like this. And I still had, the stand I had, which I still had, like, 20 more minutes on. And then I had a stand where I had to walk, like, my zone the whole time for, like, 30, 45 minutes. So I had a good bit before, and I'm not gonna call anyone and be like, hey, I just cracked my tooth. Like, how embarrassing would that be? So I'm panicking, like, bad. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? And obviously this is pre-COVID, so no one's wearing masks. So, like, you can, if I talk, like, you can see it. So people think I'm, hillbilly, like, messed up, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? So I'm literally walking my zone, and guests are asking me questions. Where's the bathroom? Where's this? Can I use this? Yeah, do you think, I'm just casually, like trying to show my teeth, keep my whistle in my mouth, like, right there. Literally, like, the most embarrassing thing, like, literally ever. And I come back in, and I'm like, luckily, like, that was the end of my shift. Like, I was going home. The next day I got it fixed. But literally, I go into the Court's office, and they're like, oh, like, have a nice day, Camden. And I'm like, and I, like, start messing with them at this point. I'm like, I kind of want them to see what they say. And I'm like, oh yeah, nice to see you. Have a good night. And they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, why are you covering, like, why is your lip down? And I just, like, smiled, and they all lost it. They're like, what happened? Like, what? And I'm like, well, I was chewing this. And they're like, that's why you don't chew on your whistle. And I was like, I know. I still chewed on it after I got my tooth fixed. But yeah, that was, I'm so happy I remember that. That was literally the most embarrassing moment ever. Yeah. So, Candace, if you're watching this, thank you for reminding me to tell the story. Yeah, that was literally so embarrassing. But it made for a funny story. So, yeah, I think that is going to wrap it up for the questions about my time as a cast member, some of my favorite memories, guest stories, some secrets. But literally, that tooth story was my favorite thing. But yeah, if you all are ever interested in working for the Walt Disney Company, definitely reach out to me if you have any questions. I always check my DMs. And, you know, doing the Disney College program is your best way to get your foot in the door with the company. Unfortunately, it is not a thing right now, but there's some rumors coming out, and it looks like it could be returning very, very soon. So if you want me to do a full video on that, covering everything Disney College program, from the different roles you can have, like full-on application process, different housing, which is changing, yeah, let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, this video was so much fun. I hope you all enjoyed this. I got to go over some of my favorite memories, got to, you know, relive those times. And like I said earlier, if it wasn't for COVID, I would still most likely be working for the Walt Disney Company. Life as a Disney cast member is not all what it seems. Some days are better than others. It's like a normal job, other than working in, you know, Walt Disney World. You have the best days, you have the worst of days. And it's definitely not an easy job, especially when you actually know what each cast member has to deal with. So if I'm going to leave you on one note, make sure to thank a cast member for all the things that they do. You might not see it, but they do a lot of things, and they deserve all the praise in the world, because those are some of the best people in the world working for one of the best companies. So if you all enjoyed this video about me talking about my time as a cast member, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and ring that bell to get notified whenever I post. More videos are coming soon, a staycation is coming soon, and I'll see you all in the next video.